almost true but still false. Cinematography, well done. Soundtrack, reflective and calming. Content, intriguing and relatable. The video presented a study in which redwood trees were injected with a substance similar to adrenaline to keep them from going dormant. The injected trees died because they weren't allowed the natural cycle of wintering. The video's message was that this can happen to us all as well if we're always busy with no season or rest. And that can be true, but the video was inaccurate. There never was such a study. Redwoods are evergreens and never go dormant. And the trees in the video were giant sequoias, not coastal redwoods. As thoughtful as the video seemed to be, it was based on falsehoods. We find ourselves living in an age where, due to our technologies, lies are magnified and multiplied to the limits of convincing us they're true. The book of Proverbs, that compendium of godly wisdom, speaks often of stark differences between truth and lies. Truthful lips endure forever, says Proverbs, but a lying tongue lasts only a moment. And the very next adage tells us, deceit is in the hearts of those who plot evil, but those who promote peace have joy. Honesty applies to everything from God's commands to violence about wintering. The truth endures forever. Other people's business. 4 of our grandkids were playing with a miniature train set, and the younger 2 were arguing over an engine. When our 8-year-old grandson began to intervene, his 6-year-old sister started, "Do not worry about their business." Wise words for us all, usually. But when the argument turned to tears, Grandma stepped in, separated, and comforted the squabbling children. It's good to stay out of others' businesses when their doing so could make matters worse. But sometimes we need to prayerfully get involved. In his letter to the Philippians, the Apostle Paul provides an example of when to do so. Here he urged 2 women, Euodia and Syntyche, to be the same mind in the Lord. Apparently, their disagreement had become so intense that the apostle felt compelled to intervene, even though he was imprisoned. Paul knew the women's arguments were causing disunity and taking focus away from the gospel, so he gently spoke truth while reminding them that their names were written in the book of life. Paul wanted these women and everyone in church to live as God's people in thought and actions. When you're unsure if you should get involved, pray, trusting that the God of peace will be with you. When you have recently stepped into an argument or disagreement, and what was the results? How does seeking God's leading affect how you handle conflict? God's timing. Meg had been looking forward to her planned trip to another country, but as with her usual practice, she prayed about it first. "It's just a holiday," a friend remarked. "Why do you need to consult God?" Meg, however, believed in committing everything to him. This time she felt him prompting her to cancel the trip. She did, and later, when she would have been there, an epidemic broke out in the country. "I feel like God was protecting me," she notes. Noah, too, relied on God's protection as he and his family waiting in the ark for nearly 2 months after the flood subsided. After being cooped up for more than 10 months, he must have been eager to get out. After all, the water had dried up from the earth, and the ground was dry. But Noah didn't just rely on what he saw. Instead, he left the ark only when God told him to. He trusted that God had good reason for the extended wait. Perhaps the ground wasn't completely safe yet. As we pray about the decisions in our life, using our God-given faculties and waiting for his leading, we can trust in his timing, knowing that our wise Creator knows what's best for us. As the psalmist declared, "I trust in you, Lord. My times are in your hands." Serving with love. When Crystal first started work at a Virginia coffee shop, she served a customer named Ibby. Because Ibby is hearing impaired, he placed his order using a typed note on his phone. After Crystal learned Ibby was a regular customer, she determined to serve him better by learning enough American Sign Language so he could place his order without writing it down. In a small way, Crystal showed Ibby the kind of love and service Peter encouraged us all to offer to one another. In his letter to believers in Jesus who had been scattered and exiled, the apostle indicates that we ought to love each other deeply and use their gifts to serve others. Whatever skills and abilities he's equipped us with, gifts can be used to benefit others. As we do, our words and actions can bring honor to God. Why are you interrupting me? What are you doing?
I'm not. I'm listening.
Peter's words were especially important to those he wrote to, for they were experiencing a season of pain and isolation. He encouraged them to serve one another during the time of distress to help them bear up under their trials. Though we may not know the specific pain another person experiences, God can help us to show empathy as well as graciously and cheerfully serve one another with our words, resources, and abilities. May God help us serve others as a reflection of his love.
Yes, I need to start being more helpful, don't I? You're giving me that look.
I am giving you a look. What are you doing?
I am just making sure that this is not going to be like pausing, giving you a break. I think we have a couple more minutes left.
Read away.
So I just thought maybe if we move around a little bit, that would be more of a test to see if it looks like it's following with us very well, or if it's buffering, or if it's getting like stuttered, those kind of things like it was doing before. I just made some adjustments today, so hopefully we got it pinned down to where it needs to be. And yes, where were you at?
God sees you.
God sees you. Okay. Get down, my friend said firmly to her son, after he climbed onto the church pew and waved his hands. I want the pastor to see me, he innocently replied. If I don't stand up, he won't see me. While standing on the pews is not probably encouraged in most churches, my friend's son had a good point. Standing and waving his hands was certainly one way to be seen and to capture the pastor's attention. When we're trying to get God's attention, we don't have to worry about being seen by him. God sees each of us all the time. He's the same one who revealed himself to Hagar when she was probably at the lowest, loneliest, most frustrating time in her life. She'd been used as a pawn and given to Abram by his wife, Sarai, to produce a son. And when she did get pregnant, Abram allowed his wife to mistreat her, Hagar. Sarai mistreated Hagar, so she fled from her. The runaway slave found herself alone, pregnant, and miserable. Yet in the midst of her desperation in the wilderness, God compassionately sent an angel to speak to her. The angel told her that God had heard of her misery. She responded by saying, "You are the God who sees me." What a realization, especially in the midst of the wilderness. God saw Hagar and had compassion, and no matter how tough things are, he sees you. What wilderness situations are you facing? How does knowing that God sees you help you to keep going? Dear God, thank you for seeing me. I know you're with me even during my toughest times. That's good. All right. I think I'm going to end it.
I'm trying to find it for live. How come I can't see it?
Well, I think we are. I saw it on my end.
On
And-
YouTube
and-
or Facebook?
And everybody, we're just doing some testing. And you've probably seen, if you follow us, you've probably seen on here a few times that we've been doing some live stream testing. So thank you for hanging out with us and putting in the comments if you hear anything that doesn't sound or look quite right. That'd be great.
Bueller. I cannot find a slide.
That'd be great.
Bueller. I cannot find a slide. still alive?
Shouldn't be. But it was scheduled for to go to 27, and it's just 27 now, so yes, you were still alive.
Got 3 watching. Who are my 3 viewers?
Shouldn't be. You are still alive, but it was scheduled for.
Oh, I'm not seeing it still alive.